Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Shiza from Center for Corporate and Community Development, University of Abdul Rahman, Utah. Today, we are presenting Learning in the AI Era by our honorable presenter, Professor IR Dr. Yu Hong Tat, President of University Tunku Abdul Rahman, Utah. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box in your Zoom control panel. I will bring them up during the Q&A session at the end of this webinar. For Utah students and staff, please sign in and sign out in the link posted in the same chat box in your Zoom control panel. Now, without further delay, let us turn the time over to Professor Yu.
Thank you to the MC, thank you. And thank you to all of you for joining this afternoon's talk on learning in the AI era. Today, we are going to go through in details about, first of all, the AI, the era itself, and then looking at the development of the technologies, as well as then later we look at what is needed in terms of job market, how are the education plan that we can do, and how we actually can learn better by actually developing some of our skills so that we can prepare ourselves better for this AI era. So I'm going to actually share the screen for the presentation slide now. Now, as you all can see, in the technology revolutions area, we know that we have these agricultural revolutions, and then we have these industrial revolutions. Now, the previous revolutions, it's basically, people would like to say that it is basically atom-based. What does it mean by atom-based? Atom-based meaning that if you come up with agricultural product or industrial products, you want to actually distribute it, you have to actually transfer all the atoms together with it. For example, if you want to actually sell one bottles of mineral water, then you have to actually transfer all the water molecules inside the bottles, okay, from one country to the other country. Whereas when we now moving into the digital revolution, it is a bit different in the sense that it is no longer just atom-based. In fact, it is digital-based. That means that as long as you can actually transfer the information from one place to the other place, or from the manufacturers to the, or from the creator to the actually the customer, then you have the product. So in this case, it means that it is very important for us to understand that it is no longer limited by physical constraints. Because in the atomic, in the previous revolutions, industrial revolutions and all that, okay, it is actually pretty much actually limited by whatever you can do by the physical constraints and all that, chemistry, biological and all that. But when it goes to digital, as long as something that human being can imagine, you can recreate these solutions or these applications through the internet platform, through the digital world and all that. So that means that it opens up many, many opportunities and possibility in terms of new innovations and all that. So whatever we are experiencing now is not the limit, because as long as we can continue to imagine and come up with new development and all that, in future we are expecting more and more companies such as like Facebook, TikTok and all that. There will be more new companies coming out and all that. Okay, so by knowing this one, that means that we have to actually go and study what has happened throughout all these industrial revolutions. Now this slide actually shows you in terms of the different agricultural and also industrial revolutions. Now, during the agricultural revolution times, you look at the human resource needed, the last column, is basically slave and labor worker, okay? Then because of the first industrial revolutions, you with the steam engine, you start having the factories and all that, you need a lot of blue collar worker. Now, compared to the slave or labor worker, blue collar worker, they need to know how to operate the machines, how to process goods and all that. The requirement for knowledge has increased. Okay, then we move on to the second industrial revolution. Okay, we need to actually have a national economy, and during that time, electricity has been provided to the factory, and you have a lot of automation, and you need petroleum energy source. Okay, and in terms of human resource needed is white collar worker. Again, comparatively, you need actually more knowledge content in performing the job and all that. When it comes to third industrial revolutions, okay, with information as the engine, we need more knowledge worker, because if you actually know more knowledge and you know how to actually analyze it and all that, a lot of time that brings even more business opportunity and how you can actually handle all these economy matters better. Okay, so if you see the trend, you can see that there has been intensification of knowledge content or knowledge worker needed as we continue to progress. In fact, Professor Cross Schwartz, the founder and executive chairman of World Economic Forum, actually mentioned that not just third industrial revolution, in fact, we have moved into the fourth industrial revolutions, where there will be actually more integrations, okay, between the physical world and the digital worlds and all that. They are all more integrated and all that, and a lot more applications and innovation will be coming out, okay. So, and Ray Kurzweil, the Google engineering director, in fact suggested that year 2045 will be the year of technological singularity, where during that time, he said that artificial intelligence may actually surpass human intelligence. But before we come to that stage of in 2045, but basically during the fourth industrial revolution, not only we need knowledge workers, but we need knowledge workers with growth mindset and empathy. Okay, why growth mindset? Because we know that there will be new knowledge coming out very fast, new innovation, new requirement, new things for us to learn and all that. So somebody with the growth mindset will be willing to learn new things, willing to take the challenges, face the challenge, overcome all the problems and all that. So we need somebody with a growth mindset, okay? Because the world is no longer to be the same, because every few years you can see big disruptive technology being rolled out into the market. Okay. Now the other thing actually, besides growth mindset, you also need to have empathy. Why? First of all, with more AI, robots, and a lot of things automated and all that, you need the human touch to understand the needs of the customer, the need of the community and society, and how you can provide solutions, some products which will meet their demands and all that. So that empathy is very important, because it is also the link that link all the human beings together, so that you can actually come up with more customized, more personalized services and products. And that's why empathy is important. So if you ask me, I would say that fourth industrial revolutions, it is very important for us to have more knowledge workers with growth mindset and empathy. Now, in terms of growth mindset, maybe let us look at this knowledge economy. Now, there's in front of you, there's actually a pyramid shaped kind of a structure. It actually shows us the different levels of data in terms of complexity. Okay. Now, in the old days, we may to have some computer to process the data, simple data and all that. And by processing the data, we get some information. Okay. Then by actually compiling the information, integrate them and all that, we have the knowledge. And in order to create knowledge, to apply knowledge, to use knowledge, we need to have the intelligence. And more importantly, you need to have the wisdom, okay, so that you know what is right and what is wrong. Okay, now, so this is the hierarchy of kind of in the knowledge economy. Now, as you know, AI, computations, automation, and they are coming out from the bottom, slowly going up and all that, because more and more works that can be automated, can be done by them. Okay, so in order to make sure that we continue to be able to actually perform our job, we need to raise our level. So no longer limit ourselves to just processing the information, but we need to know how to learn knowledge, how to gain knowledge, how to apply knowledge, how to develop our intelligence in many areas, not just one area, many areas. And also, of course, need to develop our wisdom so that we know, because with more intelligences, with actually the power to actually control so many things, okay, it is very important that we have the wisdom to know what is right and what is wrong and don't misuse it. That's why when you go higher and all that, you can see that the importance of moral and ethical education becoming even more important. Okay. Now, there are people actually who ask that, wow, will AI actually replace our job and all that? Okay, let us look at one example. Now, as you can see over here, this is the changes of these job uh, categories in USA for the past 150 years. Okay, now in 1850 on the left side, you can see that at that time, about 50% of the population in USA, they were in actually farming, doing farming and all that. But over the years, because of the improvements in the technologies and all that, so you can see that nowadays, in fact, less than 5% of the US population is involved in farming. But in fact, they actually produce more, much more agricultural products so that they can export to the whole world. Okay, but at the same time, if you look at it in near now, and you can see that the portion, the category of white collar has increased a lot from previously 10% in 1850 to now more than 60% and continue to increase, and also the service sector as well. Now, all these white collar and service sector, we are referring to actually the knowledge worker. More and more of them will be knowledge worker. We can actually have higher acquisitions of knowledge and able to actually use their intelligence and also with the wisdom to handle more and more complex work. Okay, so AI will not replace our workforce in the sense that, okay, there will be new jobs being created that require different sets of skills, knowledge to handle. So in order for us to prepare ourselves for future, we need to continue to improve ourselves. That's why growth mindset is very important. Okay, as you can see from here. Now, Sir Ken Robinson, okay, a very famous author, actually once says that we normally like to treat educations like industrial manufacturing. Like for example, we have one batch of students coming in, and then as long as we provide them enough a good curriculum and all the support, teaching and all that, then they will be coming out and then will be ready for the market, the job market. But in fact, he thinks that education is more like organic farming. It means that because everybody comes in with different background, different knowledge of different things and all that, because of different background and all that, and they have also different intelligence, different skill set as well. So in fact, education is more like organic farming. Although we still need to provide them with the curriculum, the system and all that, so that they can grow together. But if we should actually provide an environment that will allow them to do more, for example, self-learning, environment that allow them to talk to peers, discuss among classmates, so that they actually teach each other and grow together. Okay, so this organic farming is very important concept that by providing the proper, for example, in terms of environment, campus cultural, and then of course with the good curriculum and good facilities and all that, supporting them, and at the same time also having the passions about knowledge, motivating them so that they continue to have this growth mindset and empathy. And then you can see that it's like organic farming. You'll grow and everyone will grow, because nobody is considered a loser, because everyone can actually release their best potential. And that is what Sir Ken Robinson mentioned. In education, this is how we can help. That means that all of us can do our part, can do our part. Sometimes our words that encouraging our friends when they're facing failure, or sometimes self-motivation, and sometimes by discussion and all that, and helping each other to understand certain concepts. All this is part of education. So it's no longer just limited to teaching in the class or whatever, because nowadays we actually experience many new things, many information from the internet, from social media and all that. So we are actually educating ourselves, okay? But how to differentiate, how to actually ensure that we are on the right path, we must always remember about this growth mindset. You learn so that you can become better person, okay? And with empathy, then you know how to handle relationship. You know that how to actually show the empathy, how you can continue to actually contribute to the society, to the nation, to the world, okay? And that is actually the current understanding about the education. Now, a lot of time people always like to ask, why is it that Silicon Valley is always actually so energetic? They keeps on coming up with new innovations and one after another. It's because in Silicon Valley, you can see the chart here, since 1970s, okay, and until now, they have also experiences, actually, they have also experienced uh, 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 ups and downs throughout this number of years, okay, ups and downs. But there you can see that in terms of sector of industry they were in IC, integrated circuit, then they moved to personal computer, then they moved to internet, and now in social media and more new technologies and all that. It's because over there, there's an ecosystem of talent development with growth mindsets. Because over there, they know failure is maybe common, but as long as you are willing to learn, you're willing to face a challenge, you can overcome it, then that's why you can come up with the new innovations. Okay? Now, this growth mindset is actually popularized actually by Professor Carol Dweck of Stanford University. Now, if you look at the chart over here, you can see the table lah. There's one fixed mindset and growth mindset. Basically, people with fixed mindset, they will think that, oh, intelligence is static. Okay, I cannot do this one is because I'm not smart enough. Or for example, look at the challenges, then you say that, why not we just have a normal status quo kind of conditions and all that, easily give up and those kind of things. Okay, but in the era of AI and the fourth industrial revolution, we know with all those innovations, new knowledge coming out, we cannot just have this fixed mindset. We need to have a growth mindset. For people with growth mindset, they think that intelligence can be developed. That means that every one of us, no matter which status, which stage we are in, as long as we are willing to learn, we can become better. As long as we put in more efforts, we can be better. So this desire to learn and embrace challenges and all that is what we call growth mindset. Okay, Professor Dwight actually did suggest actually a simple story. You see, sometimes when our children or our students, okay, when they have actually done something well, okay, with achievement, traditionally we like to say that, oh, because you're smart, then you actually win these prizes and all that. Okay, but Professor Dwight would suggest that maybe now, from now onwards, we should actually compliment the achievements by saying that, hey, congratulations to you. Because of your efforts, you're able to achieve this one. Now, the difference is actually because efforts everybody can put in. Okay, everybody can put it. That means that everybody has hope. Okay, so to all the students who maybe now still struggling with study and all that, don't worry. As long as you put in the efforts, okay, every day become better than the previous day and all that. With the growth mindsets, everybody can grow. Okay. And coming to the concept of empathy. Now, even all these IT gurus or all the entrepreneurs and all that, they stress, in fact, a lot on empathy. Like, for example, Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, he said that innovation comes from having a deep sense of empathy. Because of empathy, they want to provide a better products to the customer. They would like to hear their needs, and that's why they can come up with a better product. Apple CEO Tim Cook actually once mentioned this one in the commencement speech at MIT, meaning convocation speech at MIT in 2017. He said that why is it that they find out that a lot of people like to use Apple product? It's not just because of the technology, okay, but it's also because of the human touch. That's why he emphasized that graduates should actually use their minds, hands, and heart together. Then you can build something better. Okay, and even Bill and Melinda Gates, they are very helpful in the sense that, and very generous and kind, that they actually they founded this foundation to help continuous research in R&D, R&D in education, healthcare, to help more people. So you can see that in this modern world, if we are able to actually continue to develop ourselves with this growth mindset and empathy, you will be able to actually continue to move ourselves better every day. Okay. Now, after knowing about this, the history and the challenges ahead and all that, let's look at the technology itself. Huh? Now, USA National Academy of Engineering, actually during the turn of last century, from about 20 years ago, they actually go and actually did a survey that they found out that actually the great achievements of 20th century innovation in the human world. In fact, they have listed 20 of them. So these are the first 10. You just look at it. Electrifications, automobile, airplane, water supply, electronics, radio and television, all these inventions or innovations and all that. Nowadays, we can't live our life without them. It's in our everyday life. That means that all this innovation has totally changed our life and all that. Okay, and if you ask many scientists, technologies, and engineers and all that, they will actually tell you that they are expecting this century there will be more and more innovation and invention that totally change our life. Okay, uh, okay, that is because of convergence of technology. Why? For example, I just list over here 5 major areas of technologies: nanotech, biotech, information technology, neuroscience, and also quantum technology. Now, if you look at it, because of synergy, whatever development in information technology, like for example, faster computer, bigger capacity and all, that will help the growth of biotech, nanotech and all that. The same thing, all the improvements in nanotech and all that will help in terms of the development in the maybe better and more powerful ICs and all that. So all these are integrated, and because they are integrated, each one helping each other, then the overall progress is getting faster and faster. Okay, it's getting faster and faster. Just imagine, nowadays, if you look at this innovation as seen from the screen, some of you may not have heard it, or may not have seen it for years already. But in fact, just not long time ago, they were still very popular. Okay, they were still popular. Like digital camera, 10 years ago, there was at that time people were still actually buying digital camera. But nowadays, it is all integrated in our handphone. There's no need to buy actually for normal people to buy a special set of digital camera. So you can see that okay, innovations are now being replaced by newer innovations. Okay, and as you can see that now even social media, besides Facebook, then we have Instagram, we have TikTok, and then nowadays the Clubhouse and all that. So you can see all this is coming fast and all that. So again, to actually prepare ourselves to face all these challenges, again, we need to have somebody with the growth mindset and empathy. Now, if you look at next wave of technology, for example, such as AI, big data analytics, robotics, Internet of Things, 5G, quantum computing, and blockchain and all that, it is actually coming very fast and all that, and you can see that. And if you look at the upper left corner of this slide, brain connectome, there's also a lot of research now doing on working on how to understand how our brain works. So we expect that in future there will be more information about this, how we can improve our learning, and then that will actually help us, okay, to actually learn better. For example, I think Elon Musk, I think just a few years ago, he started a new company called Neuralink, trying to see how we can understand better what is happening in our brain, and whether it is possible that in fact we can record now what we put in our brain, and later in future, if that part of brain is no longer working, we can transfer back the informations recorded in the hard disk or in the digital storage back to it, and so that we can regain either our memory or our skill set and all that. Okay, so technologies continue to improve, and you have all this disruptive technology, self-driving car, 3D printing, SpaceX, and other things and all that. Okay, keep coming up and all that. Okay, and then virtual reality, and then lower left corner, the face-to-face, and now some time ago, people hear about this technology by deep fake, meaning that they can imitate somebody's speech and all that, and then come out with a video that you thought that it is from that person. In fact, it is not. It's from others. And then the past 1 week, and people have been talking about deep nostalgia, meaning something that to actually let the old photos, the black and white photo, you can actually make the faces actually become live again and all that. Also, all this technology, including AlphaGo and all that, all these are actually changing our life. Now, how real are challenges from robots and actually AI? How real are they? Now, over here, you can, in this slide, you can see, I show that robots from Boston Dynamics. Now, if you are interested in knowing the status of robot now, one thing you can do is actually you can go to YouTube and just type Boston Dynamics, okay? And you can see that they have come up with the robots that can walk like people, run like people, and jump and do all kinds of things like normal people. Okay, in fact, during the COVID time, if you look at the four-leg robot at the upper right corner, they have rolled this out to the market and start selling this robot. Okay, and then after that one, you also see that other manufacturers, robot manufacturers, have come up with some similar solutions as well, and with even cheaper price and all that. So just imagine, Sophia is an artificial intelligence figure. We know that you can answer our question intelligently and just like human being and all. If you can combine the artificial intelligence in the Sophia and with all these robots and all that, basically you are having an intelligent robot already. Okay, now people may say that, no, okay, we know these robots are coming and all that, so what? I think it's still only a few of them. But just imagine, maybe we ask ourselves these questions. If, for example, we want to train and educate and produce another Albert Einstein, okay, is it easy or not? Oh, it's not that easy, am I right? To search all over the world to actually find and educate another Albert Einstein may not be that easy, okay? But just imagine if now there's one artificial intelligent robot standing next to you, and this is the best robot in the world, okay? Now, how long does it take for manufacturer to manufacture this kind of robot? Tens, thousands, and even millions of them. Just maybe few months or few years time and all that. And all this can be actually shown to the whole world. Just like nowadays, apps, you just download and then right away, the moment it is introduced in one country, and then maybe within a week, all over the world, people will be talking about it. It is the spread, it will be very fast. So the same thing. So don't underestimate this one, because this thing may come sooner than we expect, okay? So, but again, coming back to the question just now, will they replace us? Okay, of course, AI and all this robot, they can do something, okay? But again, there are also other jobs they may not be able to do, okay? But of course, at the same time, we must be aware also, the robots may not come individually. They may come in the form of swarm of robots. A group of robots coordinating with each other can do many things that maybe now we are not able to do, okay? So there is also this challenge from some robots, okay? So what we need to do is actually, we have to actually grow in terms of the data hierarchy I mentioned just now to higher level. For example, beyond knowledge to intelligence, to wisdom and all that. Now, this is actually a Moravec landscape of human competence. You can see that this landscape, the place where it is actually filled with water are those places or those areas where AI has conquered or has managed to actually achieve the level, okay? Okay, but those above sea level are those that maybe human beings are still able to actually have some advantage compared to them. But the water level is increasing, you know, uh, every now and then it's increasing and slowly increasing and all that. So that is some thing that we like to share with you. That means that for human being and then we have to continue to improve ourselves. Of course, there are also these AI big questions. whatever we are seeing now is actually AI or artificial intelligence able to do certain thing in a specialized field, in a specialized category and all that. Okay, in terms of the real AI, what we call general AI, there are still these big questions for them to develop. So this is actually quoted from the website quest.mit.edu. They say that there are still these 6 categories of big questions in AI. How to recognize as easy as a human being does. How do you perceive? How can the AI perceive the world around us? How they can continue to learn on their own? Okay. How do actually in terms of language, how do they understand the language better so that they can communicate us easily? How do they, whether they have emotion or not, or whether they can recognize the innovations among human beings or not? Okay, and the other thing is actually creativity. Can they be creative and all that? But a lot of labs that have done many research projects in this area, and you can see that in fact their skill is also improving for AI intelligence. They are also improving in all these areas. Okay, so these are this slide actually shows you the challenges that we are facing. Okay, now the moment when the efficiency and cost of computations by using AI robots or AI machine is becoming comparable to human being, then the jobs will be actually facing this challenge. Okay, and then the other thing is actually operation hours. We have to sleep. Every night we have to sleep and not, but for all those machines, AI and all that, they don't have to sleep. Okay, and for us, in order to train the new staff and all that, it takes time for them to learn the skill because your neural networks inside our brain need to be connected and all that. But for all these robots and all that, they just need to actually copy whatever algorithms, memory and all that from one to the other one. So the multiplication of intelligence is easier. Okay, and then networking effect as well, because why? For us, in order to talk to our peers, our colleagues and all that, we need some time to communicate and sometimes even have miscommunications. But for the AI robots and all that, because of networking effect, they can communicate very fast among each other at maybe 5G speed and all that, very fast and all that. Okay, then of course, in terms of security, how do we ensure that they do whatever things that we want them to do and not actually overdoing it and all that, or not even actually bring harm to human being and all that. Okay, so the other things are effectiveness of computation, creativity, and human touch and values. So these are all the challenges of AI towards the human society. Okay, now I would say that this is something coming. Of course, we may not be able to just say, oh, we stop them. But maybe what we should do is actually with the growth mindset that, okay, there are other things that AI cannot do at this moment that we can continue to develop ourselves to create even to develop our intelligence and our wisdom, and then to provide services and products with human touch and all that. That is something that we will be able to do better. Okay, so by knowing all these AI challenges and development and all, now we come back to education and how we can improve ourselves. Okay, now challenges of 21st century education is this. Okay, now a generation ago, teacher could expect that what they taught would last their students a lifetime. Okay, however, today is no longer the same thing because we don't know what kind of job will be created in future, what kind of technology will come out, and what kind of problems you need the graduate to solve. Okay, for example, 10 years ago, okay, maybe people may not understand that we need to actually solve the problems from social media, or we need to actually how to use social media, e-commerce to do a lot of things and all that. Okay, but now it is so common in our daily life and all that. Okay, so that means that in addition to fundamental knowledge, a good understanding about the theory and those kind of things, we must actually build the capability, the skill sets of our students and our children, okay? So that with this skill set, with this ability and all that, they will be able to continue learn up new things, to face the challenges and to overcome the problems. And in doing so, the attitude of having growth mindset and empathy will be very important. Okay, so a group of consortiums, a consortium called the 21st Century Learning Consortium in US, consisting of institutions, various organizations and all that, actually suggests that 21st century learning framework. That means that, of course, we still need to have this content knowledge of 21st century as shown in this, the pink box, okay? But at the same time, you need to develop the 4C skills, okay, as shown in the blue box, okay? What are the 4Cs? Critical thinking, communication, collaborations, and creativities. And these are something that skills that students and children, they need to develop further. Okay, and when we are talking about this critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity, we are not saying that we only do it at the university level or when they go out and work. In fact, even when they were young, when they are actually young and all that, for example, even in kindergarten, in primary school, secondary school and all that, as long as you encourage them to think logically, for example, think critically, okay, allow them to be able to communicate well with their friends, for example, their classmates, family members and all that, to train them up so that they are willing to collaborate with others, to work in a team and all that, and also create them to think about beyond the box, to let them have the chances to show their creativity. So these skills that we are talking about, the 4C, it is throughout the whole life of us, you know, from very young until very old and all that. This 4C, we can continue to develop ourselves every day. Now, in addition to this one, of course, you look at the red box, information, media, and technology skills, and then also the green box, life and career skills. All these skills are becoming more and more important. And more important thing is, if you look at it, the central oval shape of the highlights is high order thinking. That means that just now, if you remember, we look at the hierarchy. That means that we have to be able to do more processing in terms of our thinking, okay, so that we are able to actually face more challenges and more complex problems with higher order thinking, okay, and also not just in one area, but with multiple intelligences, so that you'll be able, because nowadays a lot of problems are cross-disciplinary, so we need to have this multiple intelligence to overcome that. Okay, so World Economic Forum has come up with their own interpretation of 21st century skills. They actually divide it into three main groups. The left-hand side is foundational literacy. They think that we need to have literacy, numeracy, we need to have scientific literacy, ICT literacy, financial literacy, and also cultural and civic literacy. These are things that they think would be important. So by knowing this, so that means that from very young and until now and until in future, we should actually continue to improve ourselves in all these areas. So when we spend time on social media every day and all that, why not sometimes take a look at YouTube and then find some of the, even for example, TED Talk, something that educate ourselves better, or go to the website, or go and learn and read something along this area. This is about foundation literacy. Then the World Economic Forum also stress a lot on competency, and their four competency are the same 4C as I mentioned just now. And in addition to this one, they also emphasize about building of characters for the students and for the children and all that, because they believe that these character buildings are very important, because it shows them they have the right attitude, they have the right skill set, and they will be able to work with others, okay, including curiosity, initiative, persistent, grit, meaning that they are willing to actually overcome all the challenges, especially now, during COVID time, we know that a lot of students, they have to do online teaching learning. We face a lot of challenges, and how we can still continue to believe in ourselves and then adapt ourselves, and then overcome all the challenges. This is what we call persistence and grit. And adaptability, also important, leadership and social and cultural awareness and all that. Okay, and then World Economic Forum normally will actually list out the top 10 skills needed every 5 years. So, for example, in 2020, they mentioned about complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, service orientation, cognitive flexibility, and all that. And 2015, they have also listed. And the latest one is this one, 2025. They say that this is the top 10 skills required for 2025. Basically, if you look at all these categories, they are basically skills in problem solving, skills in self-management. How do we control ourselves? How we continue to develop ourselves? Okay, and working with people, the third category is how we work with others. And the fourth one, how do we use technologies and to help us? Okay, so these are the four main things that they stress a lot in terms of the 2025 top 10 skills. Now, let us actually look at the education theory. Now, Bloom's taxonomy is something very popular, and in Malaysia, the Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Education actually adopt this one and want to actually develop our students in these three areas. In cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. So in fact, all the program curriculum developed and all the courses aim to develop the students in these areas. Now, in fact, if you actually carefully look at these three domains, it corresponds to cognitive, actually correspond to brain. Psychomotor, in fact, is hands-on. And affective, it relates to heart. Just I remember I mentioned about Tim Cook, Apple CEO, he mentioned in the MIT convocation, he mentioned also these three things, brain, hand, and heart. Okay, so basically it is actually an approach help to us to develop ourselves in a more holistic manner. That means that in addition to actually learning better and improve our knowledge and intelligence, we also must make sure that we will not just know that from theory, but we must have a lot of experience, hands-on experience in psychomotor. And in addition to this one, we must always think about others, effective, know about others, how to work with others and all that. So in order to actually face the challenges, please remember these three things: brain, hand, and heart, cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. Now, in terms of cognitive domain, what is about learning in the AI era? Okay, what I need to learn and all that. Now, in the Bloom's taxonomy, it has these 6 categories: from remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, and all that. Now, maybe traditionally we always think that, okay, as long as if the teachers or the lecturers actually teach you something, I remember and I understand, then when I look at the question, I know how to apply, it is good enough. Okay, but nowadays, for example, everybody carries mobile phone, and with a single click and all that, they can find all kinds of information and all that. So what does that mean? That means that even we have a mind or a brain like encyclopedia, we remember everything in the world and all that. The advantage is no longer there, because other people just use a handphone, they can all very easily find information. Okay, but what is lacking now is like this: when you go to the internet, you search for certain information. Now, then one thing very common that will pop up is actually, how do I actually choose the right information? What type of information is the right one we should follow? That means that in addition to remembering, understanding, we need this ability to apply, to analyze, to evaluate, and even to create. That means that to actually have our own conclusions and those kind of things. Okay, so that means that we need to actually improve in terms of the level of thinking that we are having. Okay, now in order to do so, doesn't mean that we have to change our curriculum, or we have to spend additional time just to focus on creating and all that, because learning is through the continue new connections of interconnection of our neural network and all that. It does not say that, okay, you just do this part and you don't do that part. It's actually the integrated process. Okay, so that means that when we are learning and all that, even for example, during MCO time, during COVID time and all that, okay, you may start learn how to cook, how to maybe fry an egg and all that, okay? So initially, maybe you remember from the recipe or from your parents how to cook, okay? Remember and you understand, oh, maybe this is how to do. And then you put it into practice, you apply it, oh, you know how to do, how to actually fry an egg, okay? But after that, you say, hey, this is not tasty. I think it is overfried and all that. So you analyze, you find out like, oh, how you evaluate and say that, oh, maybe I put too much salt, or maybe I too much, I fry it too long and whatever. So by doing analyzing, evaluating, and by testing and all that, okay, maybe one day you can come out, you create something, your own recipe, your own experience and your own skill, and you create something which is very tasty. So even for a simple process like frying an egg, you can see that it involves multi-levels in the cognitive domain. Okay, so that means that for anybody of us who want to learn better, don't look for other places. I mean, no need to look for very far or whatever. From everyday things that we do, we will actually learn. Okay, we will learn and then go upper level and all that, so that you train higher order thinking. Okay, now so that's why in the education nowadays, instead of teacher-led, that the teachers actually teaching in the class and then try to actually deliver the knowledge to students, a lot of time we need the students to also learn how to apply, how to analyze inside their brain, how to evaluate, and how to create new things. That is something that teacher will not be able to help you if you don't put your own efforts. Okay, so that's why it is important for us to understand this one, especially during this online teaching learning time. Okay, the initiative from a human being, from the student, is very important, that you're willing to learn. Okay, and that's why growth mindset is very important. You are willing to learn and you want to know not just who, what, where, when, but you also want to know how, why, how is it used, what is the cost, what is the effect, how can you actually do it better and all that. So all these will actually make the learning better. So as long as you start small, but don't give up, everything you do it this way, naturally you'll be able to improve in your study. Okay. Now the other one is about psychomotor. Also have this different layer. Maybe when you first learning about how to maybe draw an apple, you do by imitating the apple, imitation, and then later you try to actually draw apple in different types of apple, under different lighting and all that. Then you go to start manipulating a different condition of apple, and then the moment you actually improve your skills, and you move to third level precision. The apple you draw is like the real apple. Okay, then later it's no longer just apple. You can do articulate, you can actually transfer to, you can draw banana, you can draw orange, you can put it in different condition, different lighting condition. You can also draw it very well until naturalization, until the stage that it is so, is internal within yourself, right? You can actually draw anything you like, right? So in psychomotor, you need a lot of practice. And then you need not just practice, but you're willing to actually apply your higher order thinking to go to higher and higher level. Now, this process, a lot of times, is very challenging and the learning curve is quite steep. So sometimes students may actually stop somewhere. Like they love to learn piano, but after 1-2 years, maybe they stop because it's too difficult. Okay, or they want to learn to play guitar. Okay, so but don't give up, because this is part of the process. If you actually be consistent and persist on actually learning a skill, okay, and complete and overcome all the challenges and become somebody who can use the skill freely at the highest level and all that, you're not just acquiring that skill, no. In fact, you have acquired the skill of learning new skills. Now, once you can do that one, in future, in the jobs, in the study, you want to learn new subject, you want to learn the new knowledge, new technology, you can do that because you have experienced the whole thing, even psychologically, how to overcome it, how to actually be persistent so that you overcome all those challenges. Okay, but people may say, oh, I know all this one, but how do I do? Don't be afraid to start small. Okay, you can start with something simple, just like just now I mentioned, drawing an apple, or something that hobby that you do, something simple. If you are writing a program, try with something simple first, and then when you're able to do something with this small achievement, it give you this little confidence. Use your small confidence to enhance it further so that you can take more challenging job and more challenging job, and until you're able to actually become actually better in this thing. Okay, so everything starts from small, never mind, but as long as you are willing to learn. Now, why is it as a psychomotor is very important? For example, MIT, the motto of MIT, in fact, is mind and hand. They stress a lot that when you learn new theory, you must do some hands-on. You must practice it. Because why? The learning in our brain is not just theory, you know. The brain will not say, oh, this is theory or whatever. But the moment you do it with theory, and then you also do it with experiment and all that, it actually helps us to have strengthened the neural connections, and then so that you learn better, and whatever you learn, you stay longer. And especially when you do hands-on and all that, you also develop all this high order thinking as well. Why is this so? Okay. Now, for example, if you say that the teacher give you a book, an exercise book, and you finish completing all the questions in the exercise book with all perfect answer, then maybe what we can say is actually you have actually acquired, okay, the knowledge and skill, okay, to answer all those questions, okay, with known answers, because all these are preset and all that. But the moment you are able to go and solve an experiment problem, do an exercise, do and complete a project in organizing club activities and those kind of things, and overcoming all the problems, something financial, teamwork and all, you've solved all those problems and all that, and some of them you never faced before, and but you're able to complete even a small thing, never mind, you are able to complete. That means that you have acquired the knowledge and skill in solving problems with unknown answers. Now, just imagine when you go out and work, are you going to receive a lot of problems with known answers, or you are going to face with a lot of problems with unknown answers? So facing the challenge of AI and or robots and fourth industrial revolutions, are you going to actually face a lot of problems with known answers or without known answers? Okay, so that's why it is very important that beside improving our cognitive skill, we must allow experiment hands-on and all that, okay, to improve ourselves. Then of course, another thing is actually in the affective domain, that not just receiving the experience, but do something like, for example, responding, valuing. When you see in the internet or social media, somebody needs help, okay, but you will just take note of this one, it's actually at the low level of receiving, okay, but you think that, oh, I should do something to help. Maybe they need to donate. Maybe I'm as a student, I don't have a lot of money. Maybe I donate 1 ringgit or 5 ringgit and all that, responding and all that. Now, this is an act of actually responding. And slowly, when you are doing more of this thing and all that, you start actually setting out a value in your mind and all that, a good value that how you want to contribute to the society, how you can help others and all that. And also, don't forget, you know, the moment you have this empathy, you want to help others and all that, naturally, you be kind to yourself as well. How to be kind to yourself? Sometimes don't actually sacrifice the time of sleeping. Okay, you know that you have to take good care of yourself. You know when you go to sleep. Okay, you know when to do exercise. You actually make yourself even better. Okay, so this is about affective domain. Okay, now so that's why it's very important to have this integration with human values and also the educations. Okay, in Utah, for example, we have these 6 educational pillars. covering these 6 areas is actually hoping that not just from the curriculum, but from the extracurricular activities, from the experience of student, from interacts of the student, from the culture, from the atmosphere, environment, and all that. Together, we develop together, okay, to improve ourselves. Okay, now then let us look at the skills needed. Okay, this is actually produced by Monster.com, one of the largest online recruitment company. Okay, they say that normally when they look at skills, they look at whether the applicants have these 3 skills. Okay, have these 3 skills. What are the 3 skills they mentioned? First of all, transferable skill, job-related skills, and also adaptive skill. Now, job-related skill is something we know quite, something related to the job, whether you have the professional knowledge in this area, how is your CGPA, whether you are able to answer the question, how you're able to have knowledge to do so. Okay. Now, transferable skill is something that you acquire in one, but you can apply in other setting. Okay. For example, problem-solving skill. Now, if you have the problem-solving skill, when you actually face with different problem, you can apply that problem-solving skills. Okay, so I always like to actually give this example. For example, people may say, what do you mean by transfer skills? How do I learn? Transfer skill mainly refers to all skills where you can continue to apply it when you change to other subject or you change to other problems and all that. For example, language skill is transfer skill because you use language not only for one job, you use it for many things and all that. So for those who like to pick up their language skill in various languages in Malaysia, just go ahead. Don't think it as just one language. Think it as a transfer skill because with this one, you are opening up yourself, okay, to interact with more people, to learn about other cultures, to learn about new knowledge and all that. That's transfer skill. And with communication skill is also transfer skill because if you are able to actually communicate with your teammates in a small project in the school, that means that as times go on and all that, you continue to develop a communication. So whenever next time when you are actually at the workplace, you know how to communicate with others. And in future, you know how to communicate with the robots as well. So these are all the transfer skills. Now, in learning, how do we continue to improve our learning transfer skill? If you actually carefully look at the syllabus, for example, in Utah, the courses and all that, you will always list down the transfer skills actually developed by taking this course. Now, for example, maybe I give a even simpler example of primary school, for example. Okay. Now, if we are teaching the students history, instead of just telling them that in what year what happened, and then ask them to memorize, and in the exam just ask them that what happened, and then of course they can what they can do is what they just use their memory to remember, and then when during exam they just return whatever they have remembered. Okay, this is not really a transfer skill. Of course, the ability to remember is a transfer skill as well. Okay, but what if when we are teaching the primary or secondary school about history, in the class we discuss and we evaluate. We say what condition actually triggered this one. That's why you have this incident and those kind. Now this logical thinking and then the way how the leaders have solved the problems and skill and problem solve skill. Now this skill, once you develop in your brain and all that, when you go to other courses, for example, you go to mathematics subject, you move to physics subject, you go to other subject, this thinking, logical thinking and problem solving can continue to help you. Okay, so that means that learning one subject doesn't mean just limited to that subject, but it go across other subjects as well. So if we notice this one, we continue to develop in every subject this skill and all that. So sooner or later, you can see that your result in one subject improve and other subject also improve and all that. It's integrated and all that. And transfer, the good thing about transfer skill is actually it is not only during lecture time, not only during when you learn from the books and all that. If anywhere you can learn, okay? For example, people use apps to practice their speaking, communication in English and all that. That is a way they can learn. Okay, when they are doing community project, they learn about how to communicate with people That is also transfer skills. When they are facing challenges, people just throw a lot of problems to them, or suddenly in the project, our teammates are not working and all that. They, because of time management, time restriction time, they come up with time management. They're able to solve and then solve the problem. Now, this also transfer skill where they can use it in future. So if we want to prepare ourselves better for the challenges of AI, fourth industrial revolutions, continue to develop this transfer skill in addition to, of course, job-related skills and also adaptive skill, able to adapt to the environment, able to learn new things and all that. Okay, so for example, to a finance people, when they are actually working in one industry, when they move to the other industry, they find out that their financial skill can still be applied. Okay, but maybe the only thing is actually their domain knowledge, their knowledge about that industry, in the previous job. Now they have to learn the new knowledge about the industry for the new job. Okay, but the transfer skill continue. Okay, so by learning all this one, that means that all of us can learn every day and in every locations. Okay, as long as we continue to have this growth mindset, continue to remind ourselves that I want to be a better person, I want to learn more. Okay, now the next slide actually show you in the career world. Okay, in the career world, now you can look at the x-axis from graduation to retirement, and right now this, and then the y-axis is the relative importance of this one. Now, formal education, when you immediately after you graduate and all that, maybe it's very important whether you get first class, very high CGPA, or you graduate from a top university in the world or whatever, maybe important. But after a while, after a few years and all that, people will actually likely look at your actual performance in the work. Okay, so the relative importance is getting less. Okay, but when you move on in your career, if you look at the yellow line, is your networking friendship will become more and more important, because when you move on, you become a leader of small group and then later big leader of bigger group and all that. You need to know how to manage people, how to communicate with people, how to build the team spirit. Okay, then you look at the light blue line, soft skill also become more and more important, because you have to actually start leading, start organizing, start managing the group and all that. Okay, and then your career experience, the dash blue line also continue to become important, because that is your track record. So if you are able to perform well in the company and all that, and then when you apply to the next company, people will appreciate that. Okay, you continue to build out your credentials and all that. So never give up. Anytime you can continue to become better. Okay, now there's one line which is dark blue line, is always important throughout the whole career. Is what? Good character, attitude, and personality. This is important throughout the career, because why? That will actually continue to make sure that you have a growth mindset, you have empathy, and you continue to make yourself better every day. Okay, and with this one, and then your willingness to help others, to help your colleague, to help grow the company, to help to contribute to the nation, society, and also the world and all that, that will continue make you feel better, make others actually appreciate it, and then that will actually bring a better world. So take note of this part. Now, just now I also mentioned about multiple intelligences. Okay, Professor Howard Gardner of the Harvard Graduate School of Education proposed it in 1983. He said that in fact, all of us have multiple intelligences. Sometimes certain people is stronger in this, for example, in mathematics calculation. Some people, they are actually stronger in other things, for example, intrapersonal or interpersonal skills and all that. So every one of us have possessed some mixture of multiple intelligence and all. So as long as we continue to know where our strength, continue to develop ourselves, and for those areas we want to improve, continue to develop them, that is something that we equip ourselves better for the future. Okay. Now, Professor Derek Borg was once president of Harvard University, and for not once, no, sorry, twice. He was Harvard University president twice, and long term as well. He actually mentioned purposes of undergraduate education. He said it's very important to learn how to communicate. Okay, So when you are in an assignment, when you are actually in the emailing or WhatsApp group and all, it's all the technique how you learn to communicate. And number two, learning how to think logically, think properly and all that with your professional knowledge and with your ethical mind and all that, how you think, building your character, preparation for citizenship, okay, living with diversity, okay, because this is a globalized world and all that, preparing for a global society, acquiring broader interests like the multiple intelligences and all that, and also finally preparing for a career. So you can see that according to him, education is not just formal knowledge and all. Of course, this is very important. Professional knowledge and all these are very important. But we need to develop ourselves, not just limiting ourselves to just knowing the knowledge, but need to build ourselves with multiple intelligences, with all those kind of skills and all that, and of course, with the kind heart as well. Okay. Now, Charles Darwin actually mentioned a long time ago, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Okay, so during this COVID pandemic time and all that, okay, are we able to overcome this? Are we able to adjust ourselves internally? Are we able to continue to actually give our self-confidence to learn new things every day so that when this pandemic is over, we are more than prepared for ourselves? So this is something for us to think about it. Because why? Because the latest neuroscience theory says that our brain, the interconnections of the neural network in our brain continue to develop and to be established every day. So that means that as long as we are willing to learn, no matter at which stage of age that we are in, we can do. And that means everybody can do lifelong learning. For example, if I compare myself to another person who may have actually certain knowledge in this field, maybe 3 years in advance than us, than me. But don't worry, if I'm willing to put in effort and all that, after another few years, and if we can do more and all that, I can learn more professional knowledge than the person has, as long as I can learn. So that's why people with growth mindset, they are willing to do lifelong learning. And if they are willing to do lifelong learning, definitely they will be able to face the challenges of AI and also the fourth industrial revolutions. Okay, now, so after knowing about how neural network works, our the neuron works and all that, let's share with you this very good book written by Nobel laureate Professor Daniel Kahneman. Okay, he is actually a psychologist, but he won actually a Nobel Prize in economics. Okay, it's because of the way how he interpret human minds and when we make economic decision. Now, according to him, actually our brain, our mind, in fact, is containing these two systems that they are working every moment, they are actually working together and all that. System one is fast, instinctive, and emotional. System two is slower, more deliberative, and more logical. Okay. Now, I always like to give this example of eating durian because I think that is easy for people to understand. I would like to share with you this story. Okay. For example, now I would like to bring you. I bring you a blue durian. Blue durian. Okay. I tell you, oh, this is very delicious. In fact, it's fantastic and all that. Definitely, you don't believe in me. Okay, but I taste it in front of you, say how delicious. Then I say that no, if you don't believe me, you go on internet. Now you go and search. People always say that blue durians are very tasty and delicious, and you go and check, and you find out, oh, it's true. Then you go and test it and taste it for first taste, and then find out that actually you find out that hey, in fact, blue durian is very delicious, very delicious. Okay, now after 1 month. I bring another blue durian to you. So at that time, when you look at blue durian, what you do? You right away like to eat it, and right? Okay. So basically, from this experience, okay, it shows us how system one and system two work. The first moment when I bring blue durian to you, in your system one, already in your neural network, you think that blue durian is not tasty. Okay, so you're using your system 1. But after using your logical thinking, testing, and experience, and all that, you find out that, hey, blue durian can be tasty and delicious. So you're using your system 2 to build new network so that now you believe that blue durian is actually tasty. So the next time, after 1 month, when I bring you the blue durian, because it's already inside your neural network, okay? So right away you say that blue durian, you use system 1, blue durian is tasty. This is the same thing for all our learning, okay? For example, when you want to build out your confidence in study, for example, learning, okay? Now do something that you are able to do so. For example, today at this time, you managed to actually get a few marks better, okay? Now you use this one to give you confidence. Then build out your network that you are able to do so, okay? And then put in more effort, then hope that you in future you can get better. That means that we can change how we think about ourselves, how we think about the task itself by just knowing how to actually train our neural network, okay, with system 1 and system 2. So if we want to become a better person, maybe one way is actually because we are receiving information from the internet, from everybody, from surrounding every day. So if you want to be a positive person, positive mind person, or you want to be full of positive energy, one thing is actually go and explore yourself and expose yourself to a lot of media reports which are spreading positive energy, okay? That you actually, you know, rewire your neural network and all, so that you'll be slowly becoming somebody with more positive energy, okay? The same thing, if you are not good in this particular area, don't worry, okay? Go and study, go and do something simpler in this area, and then you are, so that you are able to do so, and then build out your confidence and slowly grow on that one. Because all of us, when we were born, in fact, we have not learned all these things. It's all through years of education. So as long as we want to start using system 1 and 2, we'll be able to do so. Be able to do so. That's why with positive mindset, with growth mindset, you'll be able to do so. Now, the other one I would like to share with you about learning is this important versus urgent. Now, there are many things that are important. There are also many things that are urgent. But a lot of times, our tendency is actually we want to attend to just only those urgent. Okay, which is okay, which is right because it's urgent, all right. But a lot of time, please also spend some time in those things which are important. Okay, those things which are important. For example, you know, maybe after tonight's dinner, when you after your dinner and all that, you say, oh, now you have this thinking about maybe I should actually very tired lah. Maybe I should actually watch my mobile phone, scan through all the social media and all that. So because there's a need, you think there's urgent to find out. So after a while, after 30 minutes, you're still on this one. 1 hour, still on this one, and then 2 hours, and then the whole night actually you spend your time on social on this mobile phone and all that. Then maybe after that you may actually regret lah. Okay, why is it so? Because it is important that you raise your mindset, with growth mindset, that no, there's also other things which are important. For example, your study. Although the exam is a few weeks down the road and all that, but it's important you start now. Okay, so that's why there's always this balance. In system 1, system 2 thinking, you always have to have the balance. So this is analogy to health. Okay, if we know exercise is important for your health, you know healthy food is important for us, or you know that good sleep is important, but sometimes because we are too lazy in doing exercise, we are too immersed, we actually enjoy the YouTube video too much and all that, we cut short on our sleep and all that, then over long term, this important thing in future when we are old, it become actually both important and urgent, and at that time we need a lot of resources to solve this problem. Okay, so I would suggest that we need to develop the new good habits. For example, reading, lifelong learning, saving and investment, exercise, balanced diet, enough sleep. All these are good habits that in long term will help you. They are important, but at first glance, it may not be that urgent, because you can always say, exercise is important, I can do it next week or next week or next week and all that. Because you don't see the impact immediately, but long term is going to bring you. So for us, if you want to improve our study, if we want to prepare ourselves for the fourth industrial revolution, for the artificial intelligence challenge on that, you must look at what is important for future. And then now start preparing yourself. Then build out the habit, and then be perseverance in doing so. So the next slide I would like to share with you is actually from Professor Duckworth. She has written this book called Grit. Now, grit is actually a passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Okay, I mean you must have the stamina and all that. In the book, he mentioned that a lot of people have talents, or they say that they have talent, and they always say that why there's no opportunity for me, why there is actually I can't do well, I have talent. Because why? Talent, you must put in a lot of effort so that it becomes skill, that you can use it. You can actually use it to solve problem, you can use it to achieve certain thing. Okay, but by having skill itself is also not enough. Why? You must practice it. But so skill plus effort, then you see the result. You see the result. Okay, so in doing so, you can see efforts. You remember just now when I talk about growth mindset and emphasize a lot of efforts and all that. As long as you put in your efforts, okay, anything is achievable. But how to remind yourself to always have this effort? Then you involve in your system two. You must actually decide that your system two thinking that you think is important, and then by actually having more exposure and your experiences with those positive mind and also positive energies and all that, and you help yourself to actually change how you perceive. Then to remind yourself about efforts. Then with all this one, you start seeing things start going to the right direction. Okay, this is very important. Now, Professor Richard Davison, he's a professor of psychology, and he does a lot of research using MRI, fMRI machines and all that to know about how our mind think and all that. He said the four challenges faced by society now are this: distractibility. For us now, to focus on certain thing for 30 minutes may not be easy. Every time there's a WhatsApp ping ping notification or Facebook or whatever, then we distract ourselves. And then sometimes, although we have know a lot of people online, liked by many people, but sometimes we may also feel lonely. Okay, sometimes we may have this negative self-talk, that depression and loss of meaning and purpose in life. But thing is that it is possible for us to overcome this. Okay, by just being actually mindful about what we are doing, which I'm going to talk more about from latest research. Because why? Nowadays, we are always distracted by many things and thoughts. But maybe I write to remind, please pay attention to bring back your attention. You understand? Please pay attention to bring back your attention. Okay? Attention of what is important for you to do now. Okay? And that will change. We always contact people through the internet and social media, but please remember to call your inner self from time to time. Say that, hello, what I need to do now, how I can improve ourselves further. Okay. So Daniel Goldman is the author for this very famous book on emotional intelligence. After that, he actually come up with a book on social intelligence and focus. He purposely wrote this book on focus because he said that this is the hidden driver of excellence, especially nowadays when we have handphone, we have internet all the time. They say that the factor, the driver that will actually help us to achieve excellence to him is focus now. If you have the ability to focus on what you need to do, you become better. You actually excel over others. Of course, his latest book is also authored traits that shows that being mindful about what you are doing, always remember knowing what your mind is thinking, and then able to concentrate on your current work will actually help you as well. Okay, so I like to quote a very the father of American psychology, Professor William James, also a Harvard professor, he actually once says that the ability of voluntarily bringing back a wandering attention over and over again is the very root of judgment, character, and view. Okay, uh, an education which should improve this ability will be the education par excellence. So a long time ago, this father American psychology has mentioned that if you want yourself to be excellent, okay, you must be able to control yourself by being focused in whatever you are doing. And because you are focused, you can, your efficiency, your effectiveness is learning in doing something will improve. Then naturally you have more time to do more things. You can enjoy, you still can enjoy whatever you like to do, but you are able to continue to improve yourself. Okay. Now there's one actually paper, journal paper published in Science in 2010 by Harvard researchers. They actually find out that 46.9% of people, 40, for most people, 46.9% of time, we are not actually doing what we need to do. I mean, while we are doing something, we, in fact, our mind has wandered to some other thing. We have thought about other things. Okay, but in the lecture, when the lecturer is teaching us, or the teacher is teaching us, maybe half of the time we were thinking about other things, so that we miss what has been conveyed to us, and then we think that never mind, I can do my own learning. Never mind, until the exam is coming, then only I'll do it myself. But you lose the opportunity to learn on the spot, and you lose the opportunity to ask the lecturers or the teacher the questions. Okay, so they found out that in fact, not only that when you lose your mind, or you actually wonder, your mind wander and all that, that you become less focused and less effective and all that. They also find out that the wandering mind is also less happy because you are not focusing enough. Okay, then and because we think about other things at the same time, but you can't go and solve this thing at the same time, so you get worried, you get frustrated, and then you're not happy. You understand what I mean? Because that you're supposed to do this thing now, but your mind wander to do other thing. But since you are doing this thing, you can't go away, do other things. Okay, so it gets you more frustrated and those kind of things, and then not that happy. But the thing that we can do is, in fact, to be focused, to be mindful in what we are doing. So now we like to discuss with you about this flow. Okay, consider those cliff climber. Okay, why do they like this kind of sport? It's dangerous because anytime, any minute, any second, if they are not careful, they may lose their life. Okay, but because it's so dangerous, that they have to actually focus their mind on every single second, their mind is not disrupted. They have a peaceful mind, and they like this kind of feeling. Is a state of flow that we are talking about. Now, I'm supposed all of us have experienced this. When we are doing something we like, you find out that, hey, the time seems like very fast. In very short minute and all that, 1 hour pass, 2 hour pass and all that, because we were in the flow state. Okay, we were in the flow state. Now, how do we actually ensure that we can have all kinds of flow states? It's very simple. That means that when we are doing our work and all that, okay, if you are given a task or work which is actually very challenging, very difficult, and if it's beyond you, then most likely you will lose interest. You say it's difficult, you won't achieve the flow state. But if you are given a task which is so simple, like for example, asking you to do arithmetic for standard 1 and all that, okay, then most likely while we are doing it, we may watch television, we may watch YouTube and all that. So you won't achieve the flow state, okay? But if you are doing something that your ability can do, and of course with some challenges, that you need to spend time to spend effort to learn a little bit more. And if you can focus on this one, you enter this flow state that you enjoy it so much that it helps you not only build up new neural networks, okay, but also you actually feel so satisfied because you are able to do something with a little bit of challenges, and to show that you have ability to achieve it. That is what we call flow stage. And if you can continue to do so in many things that you do, in your work, in your study, and in whatever you do, then slowly you build out your confidence, and you improve yourself. Okay, so that's why it is important, and everybody can do so. Why? How to motivate ourselves so that we can be in this flow state and we can actually enjoy learning, enjoy working, enjoy doing something and all that, and not with wandering mind and all that. Now, it actually we can trace to this self-determination theory from two professors in raised in actually 1980s. They actually say that now whatever things that we do, how to actually initiate, how to motivate ourselves, it depends on three factors. The first factor is competence, whether we are competent enough to do. Because if it is too difficult, of course, we are not competent, we lose interest. There's no motivation. But if it is too simple, you say that, why should I spend time and all that? Also, no motivation. So competence is something. So if you want to build out your confidence, you want to improve yourself, try something that you are competent to do, but with a little bit more of challenges. Okay, so that you can continue to grow. Your skill, your knowledge continue to grow. Okay. Now, the other thing is actually to give a little bit of autonomy, meaning that you decide on your own. Like, for example, you want to do it, so you decide what is the time frame you think is suitable. You decide what area you want to improve, or you decide how you want to reward yourself. Not reward from your parents or reward from your company and all, but how you want to reward yourself with a little bit of autonomy. Then you feel that you own this project yourself. Okay. Then the third one is relatedness. It means support, encouragement from your friends, from your parents, from your family, from your boss, from your colleagues and all that. This actually is the third factor that we. So with these three, in fact, these three we can create one. Meaning we can actually try to solve this. Okay. For example, you are going to actually face a new challenge. Okay, you're not too sure whether you are able to do it. First of all, you can find the challenge. You can choose the challenge which is something your competence will allow you to do, but with some challenges. Okay, then you address the first factor. Then the other thing is actually you give some autonomy that this is something you want to do, how you want to reward yourself if you are able to do so, how you plan yourself with your own initiative. Okay. Then the third one is actually maybe you think that, oh, maybe I need support. Maybe you can talk to your parents, to your colleagues, to your friends, and they give you support. Then you help you to motivate yourself. Then after you have this motivation, then you can continue to do and achieve and face all the challenges. Then how to get yourself to improve in your motivation? Then we are talking about this in the next slide, external and internal motivation. Okay, and this is the core part in terms of learning in the AI era. Now, if you look at the most left column, okay, there's no real point in doing this because my success is unlikely or impossible. Now, why there are some people who have no motivation at all? Maybe the task given to them, or maybe the challenge they think they are facing is too high. Then totally they don't have motivation. Okay, okay, that's one. But what we can do is actually we can slowly move from left to right. Okay, now look at the second column. I'm doing this because a reward I might receive, or because I'm being forced, or even a punishment. So sometimes you can see that people can see that some parents may say that, okay, to tell their children that if are able to actually do well in this exam, then maybe there's some reward or maybe some punishment. Okay, so it works. It can still works and all that. Okay, because that is actually a little bit of what we call extrinsic motivation already. Okay, so the children may be able to do so, but next time they may want to have more rewards or more punishment before they do it so. And the other fallback about this one is actually, what if in future when they go to, for example, boarding school, or they go to overseas and they go to university when they are no longer within the family, and within the watch of the parents and all that, then suddenly without those reward and punishment, they lose interest in studying, and then they will not be able to do well. Okay, so extrinsic motivation initially may work, but we need to continue to move them to the right hand side. Okay, the third column, I'm doing this because I feel guilty or think that I ought to do this. For example, some students, they want to become better because why? Uh, they've noticed that their parents are very has spent a lot of work, have to work have to work actually long hours to support the family. They think that they should also help their parents by doing well in their study, for example, or they think that being the elders or the old the youngest in the family, or they think that, oh, I need to help my family, something they ought to do. So then they have a little bit more motivation beyond just reward and punishment. They have some inner fire slowly actually building up that they want to do better. Then you move to the fourth column. I'm doing this because I personally value the goal. In this case, they already think that, oh, there's a goal of the family to become better financially. I need to together help the family to achieve the goal. If I am able to do well in study, if I'm able to actually perform well in my company, I'll help to improve the life of the family. So they have a goal already. Okay, they're moving towards a goal. Okay, so that one is actually even more motivation. Then we move on to the right hand side again. The fifth one, I'm doing this because it is important for my self-love, self-worth. So for this kind of people, it's beyond the goal, because personally, their own belief, they think that I need to continue to do self-learning. I need to continue to improve myself. Whatever I do, although I have some achievement, I want to make it bigger. I want to make it better. Okay. Now, for those people, they are those people with growth mindset. They want to make whatever things they do better, bigger, and if they help people, they want to see how they can help more people. Okay, this is the fifth column. So you can see that the internal motivation is very strong now, until it comes to the last stage. Okay, the rightmost column. I'm doing this because I really want to do it. There's no string attached, not because of he wants to achieve anything, and he just want to do it. He loves doing it. He enjoy flow states in doing so. Okay, now for those kind of people, okay, whatever challenge, AI or fourth industrial revolution, or whatever difficulty or suddenly mishap or accident happen to them, they will be able to overcome. They will be able to come back and all that, because the self-motivation internal is very strong. Okay, so by knowing this one, now we know how to actually help ourselves to develop and all that. Okay, to today's talk, I won't be able to talk to you into the details of very small area. For example, how to study mathematics, how to study physics, how to study econs or whatever, because that one is actually very detailed things individual. But what we are trying to share over here is about how overall, in terms of our character, our habit, our belief, and our practice, our habit, by changing this part, it is possible that we acquire these transferable skills to make ourselves better. Okay, so next I want to share with you is actually from this book, Brain Rules. They actually highlight this book, Dr. Medina. He actually gone through all the literature published in this area, and then summarize these 12 rules about how we can actually utilize, how we can make use of our brain better. Now, he found out that a lot of research actually is showing that if you want to make your brain function better, do exercise. Because by doing exercise, you make your blood circulation better and all that, and that will provide more nutrients, more fresh blood to your brain, and definitely it will be easier for you to form good neural network when you learn and all that, and you make your study better. Okay, that's rule number one. Rule number two is actually the human brain evolved, meaning that believe that neuroplasticity, that means that you are able to learn as long as you want, and you can continue to develop your brain. The third one is actually every brain is wired differently because we experience different background, different culture, different schools and all that. So it's and different social media we actually visit and all that. So understand is wired differently, but that doesn't mean that we cannot improve. Okay, that doesn't mean, because any single thing that you experience and all that, who knows in future that may help you to solve some future problem. Okay, experience and all that. Number four, we don't attention. We don't pay attention to boring things. Okay, so we have to keep ourselves to actually energize our study. How to bring back our attention? Just now I mentioned to you, be mindful. Be just at any time focus on what you are doing now, and definitely you find out that you'll be able to achieve better. Rule number 5 is short-term memory. Remember, repeat to remember. If you want to remember certain thing, repeat it. If you want to pick up a skill, repeat it, because it takes time for you to build out your neural network, your neuron, the network inside there. So you need to repeat. So skill, especially skill-based and all that, you need to build it and all that. If you want to change yourself so that you will be able to contribute more to the society, you want to be actually a kind person and all that, also through repeatedly actions of you and all that, slowly you build up your kind heart and all that. Okay. Now, rule 6 is long-term memory. How? Remember to repeat. Remember to repeat. Remember that you need to continue to repeat, to continue to establish more network and all that. Okay. So the same thing for study. If you prepare for your exam, you prepare for your work, you want to solve this problem, whatever your past experience in transfer skill and also the knowledge will help you in future. So that rewards all those people who spend more time and efforts in learning. Okay. Rule number 7, he says sleep is very important. Every day must spend about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Very, because the brain needs time to what, to actually clean up itself. The brain needs to rest and also clean up the all this after thinking and all that, they need to clean up to refresh itself. So if you provide a good condition for our brain, definitely we'll learn well. Definitely we'll be able to focus more. Okay. Rule number 8, stressed brains don't learn the same way. So we have to learn about way how to de-stress. And the way how to actually de-stress and to slow down all these things, stress, is actually to focus. For example, when you are playing badminton, when you are exercising, when you're listening to music and all that, focus on doing so. Then you find out that at least during that time, if you can focus, you don't feel stressed. And slowly your brain also change. Then you become less stressed. You become less habit to actually create this stress and all that. So by just focusing on something you like to do now, you'll be able to actually address this stress problem. Number 9, sensory integration. Simulate more of the senses. If you learn through listening, vision and everything, you learn better. Rule number 10, vision. Vision is still actually a major channel for us to experience the outside world and all that. Rule number 11, gender. Male and female brains are different, so sometimes the way how they learn may be different. And rule number 12, exploration. We are powerful and natural explorers. So don't always give yourself encouragement to explore new things. Okay. Now, the power of habit. This the next slide I want to share with you is about the power of habits. This is a very good book. By telling us what actually form the habits. All the habits are actually formed by these 3 little stage. Okay. First of all, you have a cue. With the cue or the trigger that you go to do something, a routine. And because of doing this routine and you get the reward can be good, can be bad. And because of this reward, if the reward is good, then your mind actually remember this one, and next time when the cue comes, then you go through the routine and reward again. For example, just now I mentioned about blue durian, right? Okay, so once you build out in your neuron that blue durian is tasty and delicious, so next time you see the blue durian, the cue is there. Oh, blue durian, and then what you do, because it has been network in your brain, right? You're going to eat the blue durian, and then you enjoy it with the reward. So all these are habit and all that. So now, sometimes then you have to look at what are habits you want to change. How to change your habits? For example, I found out that, oh, for example, every time after dinner I go to my room, then I look at the bed. It give me a cue, so I will just lie down on the bed, and then next cue, I'll take out my mobile phone and start checking YouTube and other things, and then the whole night spent on this one. Then after that, maybe I regret. Okay, so that habit is going on and all that. But how to break that cue? Okay, so maybe tonight after actually having the dinner, okay, having the dinner, go to my room. Okay, make sure that maybe you fold your bed so not so easy to lie on the bed, or you make your working table very clean, or maybe you say that, okay, after dinner maybe I should drink a cup of coffee or a cup of Milo. So you go and actually make this a cup. So that break the cue, that break the routine. Okay, so by doing so, then your brain start thinking, start using your system 2 to think. Start using your system 2 to think. So you go and actually bring a cup of coffee or Milo to put on the desk. Okay, then your system 2 is thinking, because it's not system 1, no, system 2. Then you say, I want to start doing some study first. Then you bring out the laptop, do something. Then you say that, okay, maybe my reward is after 2 hours, then I go and actually, before sleeping, I go and check my WhatsApp message. Now, by being able to trigger you to use system 2, that means that you can change your habit. And then after you use it one time, then tomorrow, after dinner, going into this one, how to trigger back the good cue? Go and actually make yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of Milo. That will strengthen that neural network, and then continue the study. Then after a while, it's become a norm that you normally after dinner, you go and do study first, instead of lying on the bed and then watch video. Okay, so this is just an example to share with you. Okay, so that's why important, and if you want to study, and many research has mentioned that benefit of exercise, because by doing exercise, you reduce your stress and reduce your anxiety, especially during this COVID-19 time and all that. It boosts your self-esteem, because when during the exercise, you release endorphin, dopamine, and serotonin. All this will boost your mood and also overall sense of well-being. Okay, so if you think that no mood of studying, no mood of working, do some exercise, and then you feel different. And then use your system 2 thinking to build out good habit, and then things will come back into the right cycle. Okay, and of course, benefit of exercise will actually build out your energy, muscles, and all that. And the other one is actually all the latest research show that the diet is very important. No, having a good diet, and having a diet, for example, with natural food, plant-based food, and natural one, like fresh apple, fresh fruit, fresh veggie, and all, instead of actually artificial and all that. Because the fresh food and all that natural food contains a lot of natural ingredients that our body needs, including our brains that needs. So you have to look at it for balanced diet as well. And the moment you change your diet, and in fact, the gut health, the gut health, actually they find out that you go to YouTube, you check gut health, and also they will tell you that many studies shows that if you maintain a good gut ecosystem for your bacteria in there and all that, in fact, you have actually more pleasant mind, less depression, and then you can sleep better and all that. So go and find out more. With having growth mindset, you don't stop just after this talk. But with growth mindset, go and find out more. There are a lot of things that we can learn, and the more and you learn, you become better. So I am only a few slides more now. So when we look at education, when we look at learning in the AI era and all that, we know that it's not just education for survival and work. Not just because we learn this one and then we are going to face the challenges of AI or fourth industrial revolution. Because life is beyond that. So when we are doing this one, we should also raise the level into education for living, knowing how to appreciate life, how to have a good hobby, how to balance your work and also your family life, how to actually do exercise, how to make good friends and all that. Education for living is also important because that will support you when you face all the challenges from AI industrial revolution. And also the other thing, more important thing is also you can raise it even life to life education, knowing the meaning of life, knowing that how we can help others and together will become better. Okay, so that's why the different levels of education I would like to share with you. Please think about it. So I also noticed among the questions, some of them actually asked me, asked in the questions that how do we think that we'll be able to prepare ourselves best for whatever new challenges? Who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe a few months later or maybe a few years later, you find out that hey, in the sky there may be actually UFO. We don't know. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. What I'm saying is actually there will be many new technologies coming out and all that. Okay. How do we face this? Just look at this iceberg. Okay. Now, whatever we can do through formal curricula is maybe the tip of the iceberg. Okay. And that one, depending on the needs of the industry, the need of the job market, and of course we can continue to improve and learn more. But also equally important is the one beneath the iceberg, through core curricular, through hidden curricular, which is powered by ethics and morality, character building, high order thinking, multiple intelligences, mind and hands, soft skill competency, lifelong learning, and also growth mindset, empathy. All these things, your character and all your experience beyond the formal curriculum, all these are also shaping you beneath the iceberg. Okay, so if you have a balanced development in all areas, that will help you to face all the future challenges. Okay, so now I would like to just share a short story. Now, during a visit to the NASA Space Center in 1962, President John Kennedy of USA actually noticed that a janitor was actually carrying a broom. Then he was actually curious. He just go and ask. He said that, "What are you doing?" And then the janitor actually responded. They say, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." You see what it means? The janitor did not mention that I'm sweeping the floor, did not say that, oh, why I'm doing this cleaning work and those kind of things. Inside his mind, he's thinking about a bigger picture, that he is helping uh, uh, all during that time is helping NASA, helping USA, helping the mankind to put a man on the moon, to put somebody on the moon with this vision and all that. Okay, so that is the part how you want to dream your life to be. Okay, so maybe you can see that how if you can actually develop this one with a bigger dream and more meaningful life and all that, that will also drive you so that you will put in more efforts with growth mindset and empathy and to develop and to help yourself learn better in the AI era. Okay. Now, the famous author Stephen Covey actually survey many cultures, many society in the world. Okay, and they find out that all this society and all that, they always have this meaning of life, and these are four things they think are very important to learn. Make sure that every day you learn something. If today you find out there's a new restaurant that serves a good recipe, that is a learning. Today you know there's a new way of getting new apps to do certain things, that's learning. That will make you actually feel the meaning of life. Every day try to learn something. And the second one is to live. Enjoy and appreciate living. And then the third one is love, to care for others, especially during this pandemic time. Show your empathy. see how we can help people more. And finally, to leave a legacy is whatever efforts you do in future, maybe this is something people will remember you. Okay, so spend some time, spend your life, spend your doing your work and doing your study, and for your family, for yourself, for your organization, for your company, and all that. Do something good for the mankind, for the society, for the nation, and all that. That is how you leave a legacy, and that's the meaning of life as well. So thank you very much and enjoy learning. Thank you very much for paying your attention and focus throughout this whole talk and all that. I hope that this helped you a little bit and all that. And remember, this is not just the beginning. Always with the growth mindset, learn there are many things available in the internet world and all that, and continue to be exposed to that and help to build out your positive energy and positive thinking, and you are on the right path to make yourself better each day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Yu. Okay. It looks like we have no questions from our participant. Thank you, Prof. Yu, for this insightful webinar.
Thank you to all. Thank you very much to you all. I'm thankful to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for today. See you next time. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Prof. Yu, can you take the question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah? Okay. Go ahead, sir.
I want to ask if someone facing a high competence during his study or during his university, and this causes a wandering mind. He takes a long time, he want to study, but he facing that wandering mind for more than half of his day, just about thinking. And what is the solution? What do you suggest for this person?
Thank you for the questions. You see, there is this thing about wandering mind. For example, we want to study, maybe we have spent hours in front of the book or whatever, and then we just cannot focus and all that. So that means that in our neural network, you see now there's a latest research that shows that what is called default mode network. Default mode network. You can find a lot of information, default mode network. That means that when we are not focusing on doing certain things, certain parts and different regions of the brain, you actually start become active and start thinking about other things. Start thinking about things. That is because in the old days when we were still actually maybe before agricultural revolutions and all that, we have to be, at any time when we are actually resting or whatever, we have to think about whether there's any threat of the animals, what happens to the weather, is tonight when I'm staying here, is it safe and all that. So it is very important to have that kind of thing. That means that you can be out from your normal routine and then think about something to prepare for the future and to prepare for the threat and all that. However, nowadays we are living in this modern world. In fact, a lot of time we don't have to worry too much about many other things and all that. Okay. But once we are not careful and we just want to actually do certain thing, and then very easily when we are not focusing on certain thing, you trigger this mode, and then you start wander around and you start thinking about what if the exam is like that one. What if I don't pass it? What, hey, that day when I met with her or met with him and all that, he said something, she said something, does that mean anything to me? Does it show that he does not like me or she does not like me or whatever? Then we start thinking about many things and then start actually worrying many things and all that. And this goes on and goes on, and then you try to say, no, I must go back to study. I focus on study. But after 2 minutes, then your mind wander again. Okay, that is because the habit has been shaped, and then it's a tendency that you move on to the default mode network. Okay, but how to solve this problem? Okay, there are ways to do it. Okay, one thing is actually The moment when you wonder, you start wondering away from what you are doing, then the moment you know that you are doing so, stop talking, stop thinking about that. Stop thinking about, and then just actually focus back. Okay? Just focus back. Like for example, maybe I don't use the study, I use something simple example. Okay, when you, for example, you are cutting vegetables, no? Cutting vegetables. So when you're cutting and all that, suddenly you think about something else, okay? And then start thinking about many things and all that. But the moment you realize that you actually, your mind start wander to others, then focus back on cutting. Be mindful, focus on cutting, okay? Now, then maybe after 2 minutes, again, it wanders away. But never mind, don't actually, uh, don't think that, don't disappoint, because this is because of the habit and all that. But the moment that every time you start realizing that you're wandering and you come back and you come back, and then don't be actually disappointed with the fact that you have wandered again. Now, slowly and slowly, you can find out that you become more focused, and because your neural network will start using, because the moment you realize and you start using your system tool to focus back, then you start building new network that will help you to be more focused, more paying attention. Okay, so if you practice continue to do so, then when you are exercising, sports, for example, you're doing sport, running, jogging and all that, also do the same exercise. Okay, now all these are considered transfer skill. I mean, being able to focus, transfer skill. So when in daily works, that when you are doing not just studying but other things, you try to be focused, try to actually mindful with what you are doing, then slowly you find out that because you build out this transfer skill, and when you come back to your study, and you'll be able to be more and more focused. That's one thing. The other one is actually you need to build out confidence. Because why? Even if you can focus, but if the thing that you are trying to read is, for example, manuscript of Albert Einstein, that means the competency level, the difference is so much that you lose interest. Then it may not help. Okay, so maybe in this case, what you can do is actually to start with something that you think you are able, but of course a little bit more challenging. Okay, then able to focus, able to solve it, and then use this good result to make your network strengthening, your confidence, and then so that you learn better. Okay, so these two things have to work together. These two things have to work together. Okay, building be continued so that you can focus, and because you are able to focus, your learning will be better, and then also continue to build out your small confidence, build out on this one, and then you are able to take more and more challenging thing and all that. So you build out a positive cycle, continue to improve on this one. Slowly you find out yourself, you become better. Actually, to tell you all, when I was in primary school and even the secondary school, the first few years secondary school, I was not in terms of performance, academic performance, I was not doing well. I used to get a lot of red marks, you know, meaning below passing rate and all that. Okay, so of course through this growth mindset and all that, and slowly practicing, learning new techniques and all that, try it out and all that, and as long as you keep yourself with this growth mindset, you want to become better and build out the confidence yourself, small confidence, slowly build out, and slowly you are on the right track and you can see the improvement. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Prof. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Prof?
Yeah, Prof. Deva.
Yeah. Actually, I put the question out there, but I'll repeat it again. Basically, I fully agree with what you say. I think that this whole area of cognition and its relationship to our daily lives, and especially in the teaching field, is been underestimated. And I think it's important that you reminded us about this. My question actually is about the use of practice rather than theory in teaching. Now, even before, I worked in many universities, and even before the COVID, the tendency for lecturers and teachers to focus on theory and knowledge rather than applying it to practice, let alone inventing something and going at a higher level, has been very limited. So that the people who invent these things are usually a very, very small number. Now, our real problem is that when it comes to practice of what we are taught, for example, say industrial work, that students are taught this is what you're supposed to do. The amount of time spent in the industry, supervised by our own lecturers, is very limited. I feel that this is getting worse because of the COVID. For the medical faculty where I belong, is even worse because we're not allowed to go to hospitals. That doesn't mean that we cannot teach practice. There are some people who are teaching on mannequins, on various equipment that can partly simulate the practice part. But we may end up with producing doctors who are practice skills may be very limited. And we need to address this very quickly. Otherwise, a whole batch will pass through with mostly theory and little practice. Now, this is not to say it's in Malaysia. All over the world is the same. I taught in some medical schools in other parts of the world. And there are whole courses which are not practice-based, which should be practice-based, because the lecturers are not confident enough to take the students to see an actual patient, go to visit a factory, and show them the actual practice that goes on. Now, I just like to address what is Utah's sort of stand on this? What should we do? Should we focus more on, by hook or by crook, getting the hands-on experience? Or rather say, well, COVID is there, what can we do? We just teach, go through the syllabus, and finish at the end.
Thank you. Okay, now, as I mentioned just now, in the Bloom's taxonomy, always emphasize that besides cognitive, we also need to actually improve ourselves in psychomotor. So we have a strong belief that theory and also the experiment and practical or practice, because for some fields of study, they don't have experiment, they don't have lab work, but it's actually practice is very important. Okay, it's very important because that's how you can actually apply the knowledge and then see how you use the knowledge to address situations differently. Even for those who are learning accounting, for example, you learn about how to do this accounting and all, you need to actually look at the problems, case study, and then how to apply it. Okay, so in this case, the practice here referring to solving the case study problem and those kind of things. I believe this is very important. And that's why actually even during this COVID time and all that, for those who are, of course, now we have some students coming back for experiment already, but we have already informed for certain courses that needs hands-on. We also ask the faculties to actually get ready remedial classes. So when next time when students are able to come back, even they have passed certain courses and that certain course have some experience or exposure to the lab hands-on that we think they need, we'll provide these remedial classes to them. Of course, no extra charge, but meaning that and no examination, but it's actually experience because we believe that experience is very important. Okay, so the same thing for us, you know. Maybe I also give a simple example, okay, and to see how we can actually help us to increase our interest in learning certain things. Maybe we try to use primary school examples and those kind of things. For example, when the primary school students, they are learning, okay, we teach them arithmetic, okay, plus, minus, and those kind of things, okay, and then they do exercise and all that. So this is actually acquiring the skill and the knowledge of solving this one. But what about practicing this in real life? For example, I always encouraging the parents that when they bring their children, for example, even those studying in primary school, to go and restaurant to eat. Okay, for example. So after they have actually finished makan and all that, finished eating and all that, of course they receive the bill, right? So if the parents know that their children are learning arithmetic, and maybe they can ask, can you help to calculate whether the bill has been calculated, have been computed correctly? No. To the children, this is something what? A real practical experience, real practical experience. Then they will think that, oh, whatever I learn in school is important, it's useful, because you see, I can help my family to check whether it's calculated properly or not. Okay. So I think in the education today, we have to actually tie this up. For example, we have students actually learning, for example, in the secondary school, learning about chemistry. Then we learn all those chemical materials and those kind of things. But how many of our students are able to actually go to their bathroom and then look at the soap or the detergent or whatever, and then read this chemical compound and then say that, oh, this is something I learned from my schools. Oh, this is the component. No, it's used in, I'm actually using it every day. Okay. Now that is the joy of learning. Okay. It has to be practiced on certain things. Okay. So I will actually suggest to you all is that to everyone, including myself also, if we have less interest in certain course or whatever, maybe one way is to find out that and then start implement and start utilizing it. Like for example, if you are learning personal financial planning, okay, like we have a course on this one, personal financial for students to take, okay, then maybe after learning this one, maybe you say that to tell your parents, say that, oh, I've learned this one, maybe because I have not started working, maybe not so useful, not to practice now, maybe I can help my family to do personal financial planning and to calculate whether the saving, the loan, everything is enough, and then what should we do. So by having this practice, you know that the learning is different already. It's all not only higher order thinking, but because of practice, you strengthen the neural networks. So this knowledge and this skill will go with them for a longer time. Okay. So these are some examples that we can do. And that examples, you can always, if you are actually creative, you can find many examples in our daily life and all that. Even for computing students who learn about algorithm and all that, they may say that when they are driving or they are taking bus and all that, why the bus choose this route and not this route and all that, then they're starting about algorithm, which route is better. And for those who are receiving, for example, orders from Lazada and all that, maybe if they are interested, they want to find out, hey, how do they track my parcel? Hey, how do they determine that this is the one I want? And why is it that when after I select this one, next time I visit Lazada and Shopee, they'll propose this product to me? So daily life, if you can start finding all these little things that you can apply whatever you learn, then slowly you find out that you'll be more interested in all these things that you learn, and you prepare yourself better for your job market, because somebody who have this one, they are loved by their employers, because they will continue to see how can you improve in the production line, how can you improve your services, how to actually make things better. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you for today. I think this is the end of our session. So
Okay,
thank you,
thank you.
everybody. Stay safe. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy to everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.